Every story has an ending. Does our quest to play the top 100 courses in 10 years have a good ending? I'm Nish, and I'm going to guide you through this golfing journey on our bonus podcast today. This is the Top 110 Golf Podcast. Bonus episode, The Ideas Man. With your smarts and my ability to exploit people with smarts, we can't lose. The Simpsons had something there. Everyone needs an ideas man. I had a chance conversation with one of my best pals, Rob, aka Ronnie Moore, the Robster, Robot, or the White Telly Savalas, about the podcast. That chat turned into a golden ideas fest. So I wanted to get him on the pod so he could share those great ideas with you. And genuinely, some of these were real eureka moments. So hi, Rob.
Hello, mate.
I mentioned that we had a great chat in the pub. Our mate Tom Biddle's Stag Do, who does all of our artwork, and I do have a lot of ideas buzzing around in my head after that. So the great thing for me was it gave me an insight into what listeners actually want, and you don't get a chance to do that as a podcast host sometimes. So we'll keep it really informal. I'm going to let you take the lead here, which, as Jim says, is difficult for me to do. But yeah, what do you know?
Too much by the looks of it. Sort of got me into this problem, mate. But yeah, no, like you say, I think it was just like the fact that I listened to the podcast.
Nice.
There was one of us, and just had some thoughts of like, yeah, what you could do really.
Yeah.
Because, I know you get all excited about a new project and,
Yep.
going and buying your microphones and getting all of those sorts of bits and thinking, well, actually, when you start getting going, things will mature and sort of come together a bit. But then you get some ideas from outside of like, actually, well, what's unique about what you're doing? Because no one really does this sort of challenge. You might talk about it, but then you think to yourself, well, actually, what can I get out of it? Because it's such a nice thing to aim to do, and have a big chunk of time to sort of diarise and remember, really. So
it's a big chunk of time.
Yeah,
You're
it's
right.
a big chunk of time.
Yeah. I think it's like you say, it's having somebody who's at the other end of the microphone who's going.
Well, I think Jim brought up the main question which sparked it was he said, how are they ranked in the top 100? And I thought, yeah, it's like if you're doing that, you should sort of like have an idea of how these courses even get to where they are.
Yeah.
It's like who votes for it? I don't even know.
And the courses kind of move up and down as well. And you think, well, hang on, how's that happening within the order rather than, oh, there's been 20 new courses coming, so that shifted other courses down. That's not been the way. They'll just kind of. I mean, we played Moortown, and Moortown was sort of mid-60s, and then the next year it dropped to the 90s. The course hasn't changed, and it's not got.
And they're not building brand new ones as if they're like.
Correct. There's not enough space to do that. So what is doing that? It feels like it's shrouded in a bit of mystery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that.
And the fact we've played so many courses like over the years, and we were, as you might have mentioned, lucky enough to play Birkdale. It stands out as so far and beyond what we've ever played before.
Yeah, it's different level.
Like, it's just a course that is just beautiful. It's just pretty. It's steeped in history. And I said to you before we went, it's like you wait till you see that clubhouse. It just reeks of history, and
that's the phrase.
Class.
It reeks of history. Yeah. That place, like it just. I mean, we've now played Moortown, we've played Silith, and we've played S&A. S&A was the only one of those three that really gave me that same feeling, but it still didn't quite touch, in terms of history, it didn't quite touch Birkdale. I don't know whether that's because there's some moments on the course at Birkdale that are like etched in your memory.
But it was also what like the first time we really got exposed to one of them.
Yeah,
and I think that's the big one, isn't it? It's just, you build it up in your head. And that's another thing I want to hear about is like, why is it that what makes this course so good? And you'll start to be able to understand what it is about a club that makes it interesting and fun. And I think I said to you as well is like, tell us about the clubhouse, as much as you're going to talk about your golf and how well you've performed and all of that, it's like I've seen enough of your golf to know it's not worth talking about. So really it's like, what else is there? And you're playing the best courses in the country and in the world in some cases, where it's an opportunity to go, well, why is this place amazing? And Birkdale is that iconic clubhouse as you're coming up the 18th. You've seen it on so many Open Championships. You see it when everyone's sat on the balcony and waiting for them to come up, and you're just like, oh, just that feeling of
well,
being in a place like that.
There was an interesting sort of comparison point here as well, because we've hit 3 clubhouses now.
Oh,
and
well, just with stray balls.
Yeah. Not far off, but
I was definitely more than that.
But you kind of go, we went to Birkdale as a visitor with a member. Again, our mate Dave.
We went there to the Open before as well. I know. Did you go to the Open Championships before?
No, I didn't go.
Again, it looks like a totally different place when it's got all the stands up.
All the stands up, yeah. Oh, that's the dream, isn't it?
That's
the dream. But it was like, it's kind of, you've done all of that bit, and then, our friend Dave, who is the member, gets married there. And then you're kind of like, oh, well, we're going back to Birkdale, play there already a couple of times. We're in the clubhouse. And he's like, no, we're going to go to bits of the clubhouse you can't get into. Like the upstairs room and things like that.
Yeah, when you see the clock on the wall, and it's an actual Rolex,
yes.
And you're like, it's the biggest Rolex I've ever seen in my life. It's like, where do I get one of them? You don't get one of them. That's the thing.
Yeah. You're not getting your hands on one of them ever.
No. Yeah. But I think you've got a unique opportunity to sort of tell people about that.
Yeah.
And tell people about the clubhouses and what makes them special. And, for people that are going to be listening, hopefully that, might hear that you're booked in to play a certain course, he's going to go and play Royal Lytham. It's like, I'm going to play there. I've never played there before. What makes it so good? What's exciting about it? And, I think we spoke about, actually talking to the pros or someone who's a representative for the club, because they're going to want to, spill their guts about. Everyone loves giving a tour of their hometown, don't they?
Yeah.
And if that's your course and you've got memories of it, and it's going to give you some engagement from the members and them wanting to listen to it. And I just think it's a good way of sort of expanding and keeping it consistent through the 10 years.
Yeah.
Of just an ongoing thread of, new people to talk to, new voices, other people that are interested in, telling you new things about the course and things you would never know just turning up and playing.
You wouldn't know at all. Yeah. Right? I mean, there's a few. Give us some examples of some questions that you think we should, or things we should introduce into.
Well, I think you could go down the normal route of like, what's nice about the course, all that sort of stuff. But it's the things that as a player you take away from a course. So like we have certain point, we play Reddish a lot, and when I think of Reddish Vale, I think of that 16th tee.
Yeah.
And when you're stood up there and you've got the course going all the way out, the course you've played, you've got that view that bends around a big oak tree, and if it's a certain point in the year, you can go around that tree. If it's a winter part of the year, you can go over that tree. It's like, I think of a spot on that course when I think of that course. So even asking a pro, what's your favourite point of the course? What's the view I can't miss? And even at Birkdale, I think of, I've got a favourite hole at Birkdale, but I've also got a favourite view. So the favourite hole is the 5th. And
is that the par 3?
No, so the par 3s, I think it's the 4th, but I think I'm sure it's the 5th. I might be wrong on that, but it's basically where you tee off next to the second clubhouse. And it's like a par 4
where the artisans are.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. So it's a par 4.
That dog legs around to the right, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. But it's like, I've played there with a kid who was a 16-year-old European, amateur player.
Annoying.
Just ridiculous. And it's one of those, I remember it because I've always played well on it, but it's one of those holes for me that I'll always remember because I've had good shots on it, but I've also seen the best on it. You know what I mean? I've seen, if you really crack a drive over a blind bit of galls,
totally
you can land it on the drop, and you just, it's for me, that is the hole on that course. That's what makes that club, that course. So it's things like, is there a an iconic hole for the pro and for you, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And that led on to start compiling the best holes of your top 100, and then come up with your dream 18. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and actually, to be fair, that is, that's very much going to happen. So it's like, started already working on that.
I mean, I don't think you can have a Jeremy Clarkson top 100 holes and then go, oh, is this better than number 56? It might come down to what's our top 20 and, which one am I going to lose, because, you only really want to end up with your top 18. But I think that's definitely something that it's great. It's an ongoing
That's the ultimate course in the UK, according to us.
And then patch it all together, and what does it look like? What makes that ultimate course? But yeah, and coming back to what I was saying about the favourite view, I can't remember again which number it is, but there's a point when you get out to the furthest part of Royal Birkdale, when you're at highest up you can be, you can only just see the sea.
Yeah.
And you get that sense of, oh my God, I'm in the dunes here.
Yeah.
And you're on the top of a dune. You've got all the course going off up to your left, and you've got just rolling hills into the distance, and the clubhouse on the I think what's the view I can't miss,
you can see
because you can sometimes get in your head on a course and it's like, I just had a terrible hole, and you forget actually it's like, I'm here, I'm not at work, I'm on a beautiful golf course. I've got to make sure I enjoy this bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that it sort of feeds into when we initially started off what we were doing. We're like, we don't want to film on course because we wanted that experience of, like, Chris is different. Like, Chris has got a different motivation for doing this, I think, because he was very serious about turning pro when he was younger.
Right.
And then got disillusioned with golf at 16 because he just couldn't get his handicap lower than 2. I mean, that's like a pipe dream for me. So for me, and we've done it plenty of times, when we've just stood on a tee, we've just been having a mare of a round, but it's a glorious hot sunny day, and you go, would you rather be doing anything else now? No.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose that. Like, that's just kind of fresh eyes every time, and fresh-eyed wonderment of where you are and appreciating that whole thing. So that was, great. I mean, the Dream 18, I mean, that's tick. That's happening.
Yeah. And also, and having that chat with the pro and getting a feel for why they like the course, or the captain, and some stories from that course. What can't you miss? It's like, even when we keep on coming back to Royal Birkdale, but it's the only place we've been that touches those top courses for me anyway.
Absolutely.
But, you're walking around with a member and he's like, oh yeah, that's where Seve hit that shot. And you're like, what? And then you get an idea of how incredible that you've seen on that TV, that shot, plenty of times, with your old man going, screaming in the front room watching it. And then you're like, what does it even mean? And you see he's hit it out of that gauze and landed it within 3 feet. You're like, how is that even possible? But I wouldn't have known, and then you get a whole new perspective on the place, or, where, what's his face, old, Spieth. That's exactly what I was going to say. Onto the driving range, and you're like, how has he even hit it over there from here? I wouldn't hit it over there from here. He's like top one in the world, and he's landed it there and still made it over that truck. It's like, things like that you need a member or a guide at the time to have given you that sort of insight. And like I say, you're paying the best courses in the world sometimes. And, you can sort of walk past history and not even know what you're experiencing.
Absolutely,
So I think that's probably something I thought was when we were talking about it, it was like, that sounds about right.
It makes sense to do that, doesn't it? I mean, the other thing I really took away from the chat was that, look, you're playing these courses, you're playing them from the perspective of a very amateur golfer. Like, we're very fortunate we're doing this thing, and we're going to play 100 of these courses, like I say, some of the best in the world. But for some people, they're going to play 1 or 2 in their lifetime. It's a real special occasion. Some of these, the fees are like up to £400-500 for a round, and you think, like, they obviously everybody wants to play these courses more often, but you can't necessarily do that. I mean, I know there's some courses that are like, they're invitation only. So like Wentworth, that's invitation only. JCB's the same. And you go, you want to give somebody the opportunity to kind of almost.
Is that one of the top 100 now, JCB?
Yeah, JCB's in the top 100.
I've seen plenty of that on YouTube, and it does look pretty spectacular.
And Livers obviously just propelled it as a thing. But it's you kind of almost want somebody to be able to live that experience through you, and that was really enlightening when he said that, because you kind of get a bit stuck in your own headspace.
But you might have someone listening who'll go, bloody hell, that sounds amazing. I want to, I'd never have thought of going there, and then they might go, oh, it's only down the road, I'll go and try and give it a go. If, like you say, they might only have a handful that they can ever get the opportunity to play. They might hear it and go, well, that's worth going and having a look. But I thought, as you just mentioned there with the price, that's something we've not even talked about, but like, what's it going to cost? And when it comes to any kind of project, people are interested to know, what's this really cost you? I don't think either of your wives are even listening anyway, so it's not a problem.
They're not listening.
Exactly. It's not going to get back to them. So but I think that would be interesting. I mean, even just if you started going, right, well, that round's that much money. Whether you compile the whole list, I don't know. It might not be
I mean,
make it much fun, but
we're at inception point now where we can put these things in place.
Yeah.
And then we're not having to try and remember that later on. Like Dream 18, for instance, having only played 3 courses, we can probably just about remember a hole from each course. If we're down to 10, 12, 13 courses down the line, we're not going to be able to do that.
I think a lot of that is going to be based around just the memories of it. You know, it might not even be, oh, this was spectacular for this reason.
Yeah.
What comes to mind, you know, just for, you know, remembering it really.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, it's something you can always look back on and go, oh, that place was, that shot or that scuff, even though it was a beautiful course, I still made it out of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like.
No, it's great. I think that it was nice to think there is this other whole side to the purpose of doing it. We want to document it. That's our primary purpose. But there might be people who just genuinely want to know what is definitely it like? The welcome to the club and things like that.
Yeah,
you know, it's like that's what a great. You know, how was it? I mean, for instance, we've as of the 3, the best one we've had was at Moortown because the assistant pro Eddie there. Amazing guy, like really chatty.
Most people in sports clubs are decent people. Yeah, you know, you're gonna come across nice people, but I think that experience of the actual clubhouse as well, you know, because it's part of that. You know, you don't spend much time these days in really flash or nice places. You know, it's nice to walk into somewhere. Oh, this is plush. You know, it's just.
Well, so I've got some info for you. So, you know me, I like taking a picture. Everything gets posted, and I probably walked away from SNA because that up to now, I think that's been the one clubhouse aside from Birkdale where I've walked in and gone, oh, there's a lot of history here. Like this is pucker. Like they've had 2 Ryder Cups there, they've had loads of open qualifying, all sorts, and it's a real purist course as well. So a lot of people really serious golfers. They love that course, you know, and it's going to be on our blog on the website, but. They've got all the ceremonial jackets when they do the prize giving and all this kind of thing. And you go, I was like, picture. So as we've been doing a bit more planning and research about where we're going to play and when we're going to play them, you start encountering the websites and things like that. So I looked at Royal Lytham because obviously that's right. No, Royal Liverpool it was. So Hoylake. So that's near one of our local courses. And I was like, right, let's have a little look at how this works. So I was looking at the policy of mobile phone use at Hoylake, and you aren't allowed to use your mobile phone to take pictures or anything or make calls on it. So it's an emergency call out on the course. I was like, what's the definition of an emergency call?
Yeah, this is brilliant.
Yeah, that's it. But I was like, you know, but I need to be able to like take a picture in the clubhouse, and I don't know whether that's just done to sort of protect the aura of the clubhouse and the course, but maybe I need to get those Ray-Bans that you could take a picture with on your as you walk in around. It's just a little.
I think another thing like we talked about is, you know, not so much you could go rigid and start to categorize and give scores to things of like, you know, general ambiance or like the actual clubhouse itself or the facilities or how good is the, you know, the bar, all that sort of. So you could go really deep dive into that, but ultimately you'll have things that stand out about certain places. You know, you might have one clubhouse that's, you know, steeped in history and you feel like you can't touch anything because it's just so well embedded. Or you've got, I visualize when I think about JCB because it's so new, just like, you know, I'd turn up to somewhere like, you know, Royal St Andrews or Royal Birkdale and you've got to turn up in a Jag. But in you know, you've got a JCB, it's got to be the newest Range Rover. That's what I think about, like, you know, that clubhouse is going to be modern club. Yeah, that's it. You know, it's going to be plush, it's going to be modern. Yeah. You have the best menu, all that sort of stuff. You know, I just think there's so many things there that you can comment on, and you know, it's a tangible difference in a place, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and you don't often get that in a lot of places. You know, you might if you compare it to other sports. You know, I like playing tennis, but you go to certain clubhouses, you know, local clubs, they feel completely different.
Yeah.
One to the next. You go to a David Lloyd, you know, you've been to one, you've been to most David Lloyds, you know what I mean? But you go to a little club who's just been there since, you know, 1897, it feels completely different. It's just it's a whole different experience.
It is, and I think it's the other thing that we've noticed just in just 3 courses, well 4, let's count Birkdale in for a second as well, it's the friendly, everyone says hello, and like the friendliness of the members, and just kind of, you know, the staff as well, they're just helpful and accommodating. They're not like no, you shouldn't be here. I'll give Mortan as another example. We had a great day at Mortan. It was fantastic, but they had a function on, and normally when there's a function on, you're not allowed to sit in the main Ryder Cup lounge without jackets on and things like that. And so we asked, is it possible for us to eat? Not knowing they had a function on at the time, but can we eat? And they just went, yeah, just don't worry about it. It's fine. Have a seat. That's just a nice gesture, isn't it? To go, you're a visitor. We just want you to have a nice experience. And actually, that wasn't an expensive course either. I think it was £125 we paid for our round that day, which I felt now, looking back. I mean, what my experience was, Silith I'd played, that cost 95. So easily the most expensive round I've ever bought. And you're walking up to it going, oh God, is it actually going to be value for money? But yeah, you come away from that and you go, yeah, it absolutely was. Like, we got free range balls and all this kind of stuff, and the welcome was so nice. The course was amazing.
Yeah, it's funny how just the simplest of things, like a free bucket of balls to go in it on the range, makes the world of difference.
I mean, that was just like, this is so good.
It's just dumb. It's like such an arbitrary thing, but it makes you feel so good about it. But I think like you could go. The thing is that you can end up with your podcast feeling like it's a bit like, okay, now we've got to check off this thing. Now we've got to talk about the driving range. It's not so much that, but I think there's definitely so much more to go at when it comes to what makes the the putting green, like sometimes you go to those places and the putting green's the best green you've ever been on in your life. And things like all the flags and things like that. Some of them just
interesting. So I've kind of, from your chats, like, you come up with your own ranking system almost. I think we're probably going to do what we're going to do. I think is we will agree on. I think I've got 14 things at the moment, but we'll agree
just
on
14.
Score. Just 14. Just to 14. I wanted to get it to 155 because that's the official slope rating number. That's the max you can get. So I thought if I can get out 155, that's kind of a nice bit of symmetry there. But I don't know if I can. But we were like, I was just kind of going. But it was little things like that I like. For instance, I like it when you get a really nice flag. And one thing I've noticed as well is, like, again, we play courses that anybody can kind of just pay 20-30 quid and get onto, but like the flag stick, mate. And we've played so much, particularly, so our sort of story is post lockdown. It was one of the first things. We hadn't seen each other for like 3 months. First things we could do was go out and play golf, and then we just kept it up playing weekly regularly, and that was brilliant. And it was a whole thing, wasn't it? Of like,
and you realise that consistency is the key.
It is the key.
You're playing minimum every Friday morning.
Yeah,
you're gonna feel like you're getting better.
And how good was that for our mental health at that
just
time as well?
Just so good.
But there was that whole thing about you can't touch the flagpole and all this kind of stuff. I remember we were really nervous, weren't we? We were like,
can we get away from me, you freak?
What are you doing? Can I shake your hand? No,
I can't do that.
But
elbows.
The flag. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like,
get away from me.
The whole flag, like the flagpole. So I'm used to this. It's metal. It's got a thing on the end, got the flag on. All of the flagpoles that we played at now, they're really tapered at the bottom, so you could leave them in to put.
Oh, right.
There's no problem with that at all because it's not really
happening now.
Like, I don't know if that's is that a more premium flagpole or what? I don't know what it is.
Enough people have complained about the fact that if you leave the flagpole in, it's a bad choice because it's bound to ricochet off it. It's got more chance of ricocheting off it and hitting off.
There was a golfer who did some stats on that, wasn't there? Was it Matt Fitzpatrick?
Don't listen to him. We don't want facts.
Yeah. I think it was Fitzpatrick or someone like that.
Probably.
He went, if you leave it in, there's something. I don't know. Oh, maybe I have to dig it out. I'm not sure. But yeah, just that. And then the quality of the flag.
Yeah.
Like, we've always had a picture with the flag. Stuff like that is the little. I don't know. It's the je ne sais quoi of a club, isn't it? I think what is it that gives it the overall? Because the difficulty is, which actually isn't its first world problem. Like, it's not actually a difficulty. But the difficulty is just how do you comparatively
I don't think you even need to do
but,
some sort of leaderboard or a ranking. It's
right.
you get too much.
Yeah.
I think it's just almost like keep it in the back of your head that if these things stand out to you when you see them on course,
then you go,
you're going to start to notice what makes a place special. And definitely, even we've both walked away with something branded in Royal Birkdale because it's so special. Be it a tea towel or a bottle or something that's just like it just
Birkdale
gives it
branded stuff went down really well at SNA, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course it does.
Neighborhood course, turned up. I was like, oh, better take this off, not in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
take all that off.
But it's not just the branding. I think it just even when you start walking past the signs for like hole number 4 and it's made out of wood and it's like nicely hand painted, you're like, there's just a bit of extra something going on. But you don't get that in any other walks of life, really.
No, you don't.
It's not like you go to a shopping centre and go, do you know what? Oh, this place has got it.
They've branded them really well.
But you don't see that, do you? It's like because
they've nailed the Trafford Centre branding.
Oh yeah, it's just there's nothing else that's like steeped in history or
it's true.
Or, you could probably say it with like hotels or stuff like that because they have different vibes and different energies and different reasons to go there, and it might be location, it might be have a great view, it might just be really historical, but you'll start to get a feel for what it is that makes this place as good as it is. Why that's why we need to know how these places are ranked. Because you're going to be ranking them.
Because I'm going to be ranking them. That's
top 100
what it comes down to, doesn't it? And
I think that's the other thing we've not even talked about. Start ranking the whole course. Start, literally have a physical leaderboard on your. I think start saying
we're going to do that.
Yeah, and just which is number one.
Where does it fit?
What was the best? And it might be that I think you'd have to agree. You and Chris will have to agree that because it's your deal, right? It's you two doing this challenge. And I think you could probably have one. He'll have one, but I think ultimately it should be is this better than this one?
Is this better than this one? I think what we're doing, the way I see it is we'll have our top 3 and then other things can sort of filter down below that, and it's like, does something jump into the top 3 now? Is it better than that one? I think because we've got a 10-year period, advancing years, slovenly lifestyle, bad memory anyway, I think we're probably going to have something that just documents why we gave it a particular score. For instance, if the clubhouse, for me, out of the ones we played, probably SNA is the one that jumps out, and it's because it's historical and whatever. But that can be the note, can't it?
Yeah,
we're giving it a 9.5 because of history.
And memory might not serve you as well when it comes to year 9 of like, well, I can't even remember that place. Why was it so good again?
That's it.
But even if there's something that stands up that you can sort of, rubber stamp, that was why that was good.
That was why that was good.
Good. And I think the fundamental that I think every golfer can agree on is that there has to be a halfway house.
Oh,
if this course has made it into the top 100 without a halfway house, I think it should be law anyway.
We've got half. I think we are right. Keir Starmer, if you're listening, needs to be a law, doesn't it? Like, you cannot have a golf course without some degree of halfway.
Keir Starmer's definitely not listening. Out of everyone, he's really busy.
He's probably pretty busy right now. But we've got that in. We've got quality of the halfway hut, because we've seen varying things at the minute, and then we've then got what's the food and drink offering like in the halfway hut, because like Chris, for instance, he was like SNA sausage rolls. He was like, I'm getting one of them, and it just looked pucker.
I can't remember. We played a course. I think it was in our lockdown days, and I can't remember it. No, it wasn't Disley, but we played a course and had a halfway hut, and it was almost serve yourself. I think it was a one that was permanently manned usu's, right? But she'd run off. And it was almost like a sign saying, just help yourself, just like honesty. Ninth hole. It's like, that even that. That's right. I don't know whether like a vending machine just in the middle of the course is what I'm looking for, but this, I think there should be. I think I saw one on Rick Shields, and they just said that is the best thing they've ever seen. Where it's, you just rock up. You've spoken about old Michael Jordan's one, and you just rock up. It's got fresh loads of balls, fresh load of towels. Yeah, that's just it's an experience in itself. Going to the nine.
The Yanks do halfway stuff really well. Like, I've seen videos where it's a drive through, because they all have carts, don't they? Because it's too hot to play otherwise. So
is that what it is? Hot? Is it heat or is it
heat or laziness?
Okay,
laziness. lazy hot.
Yeah.
But they're all like on these carts, and they drive through this shed. Basically, it's like a cow shed sort of thing, and either side they've got
Seen
like
that.
fridges full of beer,
Drive through.
snacks, all this kind of thing, and they're all like parts up, ready to go. And like, I mean that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what I find interesting with that is that I think our attitude to playing golf, and I think it's that whole almost frat boy culture they've got there, where they're like, yeah, we're gonna do like 12 beers and all this sort of stuff. It's like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to walk off the course and go, I couldn't remember a fucking thing about this golf course. Like, you might have had a great time, but what value did that give me? I want to remember
not that
it.
keen on drink driving.
Yeah, that's why Chris has been driving everywhere. It's great.
Sweet.
Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, just, I think it's a different mindset towards your golf. Like, and I probably understand it from their point of view, because a friend of ours lives in New York, and he's like, it's $400-500 for a round at even a very average.
See, I had no idea.
Country club.
Crazy amount of money.
That's crazy. Like, how can you justify? Well, I suppose you can justify because people pay it, but yeah, you're not playing an elite course. You're just playing a course, and it's costing you that much. So, yeah.
But it's again that sort of that establishment thing. You know, we've got in the UK, I would say, you know, this golf courses that are so old that they don't need to put on a performance.
No, they don't.
A lot of the new courses that you see in the state, not new, but you know, the courses that you see in the States, they've not got so much of the history to
there's no history to it.
You know,
yeah, absolutely.
They have to have a, you know,
you'd never guess.
But it makes for sometimes a better experience, because some of those places you see are just the plushest, lushest courses.
We've spoken about old Jordan's, Michael Jordan's course, haven't we? I mean, that's unreal, some of the stuff there. You know, and then he's gone the opposite, hasn't he? He's gone, right, there's no history, it's my course, I've only just built it, but I'm just going to stack it with so much amazing new stuff that, like, for instance, what is it, you get drone delivery of your drinks anywhere on the course with an app. It's like, that's amazing.
Like, but I've played golf in Thailand, and you know, if we're talking about clubhouses and the experience of that sort of thing, it felt like a shopping centre.
Yeah,
it was. You know, you've got such a large amount of acreage that they've got 7 golf courses that all share the same clubhouse, right?
Right. Okay.
And they all back onto the clubhouse. The clubhouse is the size of a shopping centre.
Wow.
But you walk through it, there's no one there. You know,
okay.
There's no atmosphere to it. I mean, the courses are absolutely stunning. You know, you get a golf cart and a caddy by default, you know, as part of your green fit.
Wow.
As default.
Love that.
And I Ninja was mine. Just that little shit. That's, you never forget
right
Ninja.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where that experience was amazing for, you know, caddy and
facility,
and golf cart turning up and driving you around, and you know, talking you around the course and knowing it better than, you know, you would imagine that anyone knows a golf course, knowing every square inch of it and knowing what you should do, even though you know you can't execute it. But
I was just thinking exactly that.
But things like
you need to aim for the left side of the green.
But things like
see me play yet, have you, mate?
No, exactly.
I'm not aiming for
so
anything.
Disappointed. The tip was huge, just to get, but the fact that you walk out of there going, that I remember that golf club for it being so dead.
Yeah,
the course was incredible.
Yeah,
but the golf, you know, the clubhouse itself was just nothing. It was just, you know, you know, incredibly plush. But it's places like that have got, you know, they've got the future really, because you've got all the, you know, Koreans. That's where they go to Thailand to play their golf. You know, China, they go to Thailand to play their golf. And you know, we're so fortunate when it comes to the history in this country that you've got that to go at with the clubhouses and the course themselves, with the, you know, the sort of legacy of the place really.
Yeah, legacy.
You can talk
about, a good word, isn't it?
You can talk about.
Yeah.
And the history, especially from the people who played it.
What sort of thing do you think? You mentioned about speaking to the pro.
Yeah.
And, you know, the pros they are a representative of that club. You know,
or a captain.
Or the captain, absolutely. And
sometimes they're more,
job.
you know, a pro, you know, so it's a job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They might not have been there for that long, or know too much about the history. Usually there's some geezer there that's been a fixture, part of the furniture, who knows the place inside out.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. But yeah, I think they're the people you find that will really have the stories and the history for you.
Yeah. Okay. What sort of things do you think are interesting to ask a representative of the club then?
Well, I think good parts of the course.
Yeah.
juniors. They always want to talk about their juniors. Who's a good junior? Who's a junior that has come through the ranks.
Coming now.
Yeah, someone who's been through the wheel, been through their club in recent years, or maybe memorable pro that's come out of there from
like a
years gone by,
sort of thing.
Yeah, or someone that used to play there, grew up there. Because I know even our tennis club, we've got they always go on about the kid that played there that now plays at Wimbledon.
Right.
It's just things like that it just gives it a little bit more.
I suppose you don't really think that, because again, you talk about the most prestigious clubs in the country, if not the world. They will have players who are coming through who are potentially.
What's the history? What's the future?
Tour players, yeah, absolutely. So I mention this because it's a guy I follow on Instagram, but he's a member at Woburn, and they keep going about Woburn being Ian Poulter's home club. But surely when he was coming through the ranks as a junior at that club, they would have known about it.
Yeah.
Like, actually, he's one to watch now. Looks like he could make it as a pro.
Yeah.
That'd be fascinating to know, actually, wouldn't it? You can get a bit of insider.
Yeah. But they're going to want to talk about. They've always got history and stories, and and even people, because if you're hoping to, grow the listener base, they're going to want to, share that with the people at the club. Jeff's on the podcast next week. It should be quite funny to listen. Yeah, he's always hysterical. But even they'll want to shout out people who aren't, maybe a pro or, a captain, someone who's been at the club, like old Tony who props up the bar. There's always a legend at a club. Sporting clubs have always got those little legends that everyone knows about. He's the one telling the stories at the end of the night. Yeah, it's those sorts of people that they'll want to shout out. It might not be relevant for the geezer who's never going to go there or just listening to you, but for them, it's going to mean a lot for them to talk about the people at their club.
You sort of say that, but imagine you hear that. And then you rock up to the club, and because you're in for the full day with these things, you're not in and out. We do that. We just turn up in the morning, play, and then we're off. You're paying multiple hundreds of pounds, so you want to stick around and get that experience. Then you suddenly rock up to the bar, you've heard it, and then Tony starts talking to you.
That would be a link, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What's your name, mate? Your podcast has made it. If the geezer who's listened has turned up, met the guy that they've talked about, oh wow. There's a link for you.
Pop it in the comments.
And he's wearing one of the merch jumpers.
You've noticed the merch?
Of course,
lovely, mate.
How can you miss it?
New range coming out soon in all bad shops and our online
beautiful.
One.
It's a shame you had to use Tipex, but you could get
it. It's the hat I'm waiting for. That's what I need to get. But I think the chat was really interesting for me because it was. You're doing as much as you want to do to document your journey, but flip it around for a second.
And at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to motivate you to keep doing this is the fact you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it because the challenge is exciting. You get to document it. You get to, play around doing a podcast and listen to your own voice, which we know is your favorite thing to do.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those where I think that you're in a unique situation where there's loads of things that as a listener I'm excited to hear about each time. Do you know what I mean? Like what makes it so good? Why is it so memorable? Why would I want to go?
And I think that's it. You sort of maybe making a decision as well, going, well, I've got 8 clubs here and near me and they're all around about £300-400 for a round. What am I picking?
Yeah.
Like, what if?
Usually it's someone or a member or someone who instigates the booking or says, oh, there's a deal on or something like that. But it might well be that there's a club worth going to that is so modern that it's like nothing you've ever seen. Oh God, there's the.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for JCB.
I know. I think
the one.
I think that's going to be a good one because I've seen so much of it and it's so new. They've had the opportunity to go right. Let's draw something from scratch here.
Yeah.
What do we want? And I think it's like maybe the 16th or 17th hole. It's like a par 3 onto an island.
Oh, nice. So it's like Sawgrass then, I suppose. It's,
18th, the third, like the I think it's
it's full island green.
It looks impossible. Like it looks like one of those where it's not so much impossible, but it just looks. When you see people hitting at it, they're hitting like a 4 or a 5 iron onto a par 3 to get it onto something that's and they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? But it's manageable, but at the same time it just looks ridiculously impossible. So it's things like that where you might get to play that course and go, do you know what? That's a spectacular hole. But the one I really liked was this other one because of that, and it might be because of the way you played it or. or just the view of it or something like that. But I think they're the things that, you know, when we play golf and we recount what made it good, not just us spending time together and having a chat and enjoying each other's company. It's like that place was mega because of this and this, and you don't need a leaderboard on those things, but there's going to be something to take away from it.
Ready Phil, didn't we? And we both sort of said it at almost the same time when we went.
That was the freedom of lockdown.
7th tee, like it was. So for context for everybody listening, if you don't know Reddish Vale or us.
There's only people listening that know us.
I'm hoping, who knows. This might be in 4 years' time with other people listening, but we had this golf course near us. Never heard of it.
Didn't know it was there.
Didn't know it was there. It was on Golf Now. Booked it. Rocked up. You know, it was like, yeah, fine, whatever.
And not to talk down the area, but it's not surrounded by, you know, outstanding beauty or
not at all.
It's a lot of
in the middle of a housing
estate. Council estate, and
I did not know that place existed at all. Play this incredibly tough front 6 holes, and it's like 25 degrees, not a drop of wind, full sun. It's just great.
It's already interesting.
Yeah.
The first few holes at Reddish Vale, it's 2 halves of a course, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That top half is like a different place to the bottom half, or the first 6, as you said, but to then walk onto that, what is it, 7th?
It's a 7th,
and just see the course and out in front of you from so high up. And just absolutely glorious weather. You know, and the fact you just get to hit something as hard as you can off of a hill, and you're allowed to do it and just land it over there, and maybe it will be quite good, maybe not. Usually it's in the water.
Yeah.
If you're
I think we both hit the tee box, didn't we? And we were just like,
what is this place?
I think this is the one. This is where I want to join.
It's things like that you always remember, and we've been back there more than anywhere else, and the variety of that course is what makes it special. I think.
And actually, I think if you analyze the course as such, that hole doesn't have a lot going for it. It's just long and straight. It's just
turns out it's really easy to miss.
Really easy to miss. This really big wide fairway, of course. Never quite managed to nail that tee shot, but that hole catches you at that right moment. And, I can hear the water street going past my ears, and that's like a nice, pleasant sound, heat,
and even when you finish it, you cross over a little river. You cross over to Mersey, don't you? You walk around, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And even when you're taking people there for the first time, you're like, wait till you see this tee.
Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah, it's just got that thing to it. But for me, with Reddish Vale, like I said earlier, it's like I think it's it'll be 16th.
Yeah,
I love that tee box.
Well, what's the first thing that always enters in my mind is like, is this the day to go for it?
Is it?
Is this the day to drive the
Because
green?
again, with that hole, you look like it bends around. It goes around to the right. It follows the line of the river.
Yeah.
And the tee is on almost like a little peninsula that the river wraps around.
Yeah.
It's reachable with a driver. We know it because you've done it.
Yeah.
But in the summer, impossible.
Yeah,
tree's in the way. There's a tree in the way. It's going to hit the tree.
Yeah.
Or not. It's got to go through the size of a postage stamp. But in the winter, when that thing's full, all the leaves are gone. You got a fair go.
Do this.
I've got a few balls in the bag. Why not? But then
there's a lot of mine are in the river. I know.
But then
that.
if you're playing and you've had a good round, when it's hole 16, you've got to say to yourself, well, actually, the sensible thing is a 4-iron into the middle of that fairway, maybe a wedge into the green.
Yeah.
Give myself a chance. But, maybe in the winter when you've had a bit of a rough day and you're not been hitting
just
it so well, the shoulders are getting opened up here. Do you know what I mean? I just don't care.
I'm going to empty the tank on this drive.
But it's places like, I think maybe that's only because we played it so often. That's the hole for me on that course. But, there's bound to be places that you'll visit that will stay with you.
What's been interesting, again, it's a limited number of courses that we played. However, what has been interesting is that how much you remember your actual round. And I think I'll go back to Silith. I think it's Chris's favourite hole as well. I think we both had the same, might be the 4th or something, or the 3rd, I'm not sure. We both had the same favourite hole, but I had an absolute mare on that hole. But it was like, but that is a great golf hole. Like it was a blind tee shot. You didn't really know where you were trying to hit it up to a certain area, and it's like elevated green. You've got to hit the green, otherwise you're off it. Which obviously I was. But yeah, like a great golf hole is a great golf hole.
And the pro will have an opinion, the captain will have an opinion.
Correct,
You'll walk away with a different opinion.
Yeah.
And maybe people who listen to it will have their own opinions of what makes that cool.
It's nice to get people excited about something as well. It's like, oh, I know that we're coming up with something that's like, this is a proper
I've been
golf
waiting for
hole.
this.
Yeah, like that's what. I mean, Moortown's a good example. They got a signature hole, which is the 10th. It's called Gibraltar. Really famous for them. We walked off that and went, really nice hole. Don't get me wrong, like looks fantastic and all that kind of thing, but it wasn't our favourite hole on the course. But everything in the blurb from Moortown is geared towards Gibraltar because it has got a fascinating story to it, like no other hole has. So that's great because you've got everybody's expecting Gibraltar anyway, and then you go, well, no, hang on, there's another hole.
Don't forget about this one.
Correct. Yeah. Like this is a great hole to play. And
I think if you enjoy golf, that's what apart from having some time out with your mates and having 4 hours away from your phone, those are the little things that make it special. If you actually appreciate the game of golf and you're not really there for the competition, it's what makes it so special. Why does this feel so good? Why is this place just a special place?
You said about tee boxes as well, because I've got that as one of the things. Like, what the tee box is like, and the best ones I've seen so far have been at S&A. For one thing and one thing only, on the first tee and on the 18th tee. So they got nice tee boxes anyway, but on the first tee and the 18th tee, they've got a little plaque with the Ryder Cup flags with the 2 years that they hosted the Ryder Cup. And I was like, I took a picture of both of them. I was like, you don't see that anywhere, really.
Yeah,
That's great.
Not everyone has the honour of doing that.
Correct.
That's
it. And they've just gone, let's just make something of it.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, they've had 2 Ryder Cups here. I've just played pretty much the same track.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, they do that at Royal Birthday with plaques.
That's great.
Specifically the point where Seve hit a shot.
And actually so far we haven't seen any of that anywhere. So that
they actually documented it on the course.
It's great, isn't it?
Hit it from here and know how hard it is,
Well, I think it was Dave, wasn't he, who said on who is a member at Birthday, but Dave said as we were playing, he was like, how often do you get to play the same track? Well, that's the pros have played.
That's exactly. I mean, it's a lovely handicap sport anyway because you can play with someone who's terrible or incredible and still have an even game. But also, you get to pay to play on the same course. It's like, I love tennis. I'll never play on centre court.
Correct.
No chance of playing on centre court. But if you've got the money or you've got the connection, you can go and play.
They're not going to let you set foot on centre court. That turf is just it's off limits. It's hallowed turf.
And this is like I said, a unique opportunity to sort of share that experience of, God, we're here. Do you know what I mean? And you will play St Andrews at one point, and that place is all about the town. It's a golf town. It's not just.
I'm definitely coming back with some hickory clubs after that. Like,
I'm
picking up one.
Yeah, you need to speak to Nick, who's an incredible golfer, by the way. Incredible golfer. Been a member of Birkdale since he was a kid. He plays hickory golf. I mean, I don't know what the link is there, but you should speak to him anyway.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, when it comes to hickory golf, he actually goes and plays a tour. Hickory golf tour.
I can't imagine that.
I mean, he's that good anyway that he can do whatever he wants with a golf ball and a normal set of clubs. But he's challenged himself to go and play exceptional level golf with hickory clubs. He'll have some stories for you when it comes to not just Birkdale, but all of those clubs.
Isn't he like a member at like North Berwick as well?
Yeah, he joined there as well for a bit.
Secondary membership, as you do.
And one down south, I think. just to be a member of another club because he plays that much golf that.
Well, actually, in a different league, obviously, but you obviously can get a secondary membership somewhere. It's much more reduced green membership fee. So like ours would be around Reddish Vale. If I joined like Heaton Moor, I think it's like 50% off your membership.
It's like twinned with.
A little bit, I suppose, but it's just like you've already got one main membership, so you're not going to play here the full time, are you? So we're going to give you a bit of a reward, which I didn't know. So that's interesting, isn't it?
Is there a club that you've got in your head that you can't wait to play?
Out of the 100?
Yeah.
That's a great question. That is a great question. I've probably got 2 answers for this. For the sheer challenge of it, Wentworth.
Oh, really?
Wentworth is...
looks very tree heavy, Wentworth.
Yeah, and that's not the course. Wentworth feels the most out of reach golf course to play.
What, in terms of just getting on there?
Getting on there. We can't just go, here is £1,000 and we'll play it. You can't do that.
I used to know the tennis pro at Wentworth.
Hello.
Paul Ryan the tennis pro at Wentworth for a long time. Very much doubt he's still there, but it's things like that. As soon as you say it, someone's going to turn around and go, well, maybe I can help you out with that. But
yeah, I think the one that really sort of jumps out at me is let's forget St Andrews and things like that. I think the one that really jumps out at me probably is Glen Eagles, actually, because I went up there for the Ryder Cup, had all of that, and that is booked.
Is it?
Yeah, we've got Glen Eagles sorted, so that's going to be Kings and Queens course. So, but that does jump out at me because it's got, I've got memories of going there and seeing the estate and thinking, oh, this is amazing, this place. And I think that really, keeps coming back in the back of my mind. I was like, I really, really, really want to play there. But then there's a couple of courses that are really remote. So there's one called Ardfin, I think, and it's over in the Isle of Jura off Scotland. Like, driving and ferrying, whatever, it's like a 10-hour journey to get there. But you kind of go, like, that feels like...
That's going to be one of those things that makes a place special.
Correct.
It's
and that feels
so
like...
out of the way.
1700s golf. That is like... It's rugged, it's wild, it's in Scotland, it's...
Well, there's one in Ireland
the coast.
It's only accessible by boat. I think they've built a bridge now. But you can only get there by boat. That's
amazing.
And the boat used to come out to the clubhouse door. Literally, there was a mooring in front of the clubhouse. You'd walk off, go and play around, and then get straight back on the boat. And then you'd have a lock in, and the boat wouldn't give you a lift back.
Oh, happy days!
You're stuck there all night.
I've been locked in for a year, love. Yeah. I think that there's stuff like that, and actually, I've never had experience of playing up in Scotland yet, and
which is ridiculous considering it's
bonkers.
Home of golf, and we've played for this long, and we've never been up there yet.
I know, it's like, I don't understand how that's happened, and then. But there are some courses in Ireland. I know what Chris would say here. So Chris really wants to play Royal Portrush. Like that's his...
Penners has played there, isn't
he?
He raves about a golf club in Ireland. I can't think what it is.
Yeah, that area though is is amazing. Like Chris, like that's just where I want to play. What's been interesting as well is going through, and there are still a lot of courses I've never heard of, never seen, whatever. You kind of just get some little tidbits here and there about what's good about it. And as we've been joining new groups and chatting to a few people, sort of online and stuff like that, when people go, this is a tough course to play, but a beautiful course to play, really rewarding course to play, but it's hard to get onto. And that kind of, for me, that's all the things on my back of my neck kind of like tingling. We're like, right, hard course, great. Difficult to get onto, great. Long distance away, so there's obviously some kind of trip involved in that. Great, like that's the kind of thing that I want to do. So I think I've hit Glen Eagles as that's what I really like to play there. The one that feels on the table is Wentworth, and I've got maybe in a couple of years' time I'll let you know what I think how I think that's going to pan out. I've spoken to Chris about this, but I'll just keep it buttoned for a second. How in my mind's eye I think that's gonna happen, but
I think you mentioned that you're going to have to enter some tournaments to get onto some of these courses.
Yeah, we've entered. We're playing Ganton in June, and we're doing that as a pairs 4-ball better ball tournament, which I've got to be honest, I'm bricking it about because that's actually competitive.
Yeah,
but I think this is because it's the Mizuno Pairs Tour. And I think it is just people like us who just want to play some amazing courses.
Well, that's another reason to like have some other things to distract you, because if you've got a competition where you're going to be thinking about it all week, like doesn't matter how many times your son washes your golf clubs, it's not going to improve your game. There's going to be other things you're going to have to distract. Oh yeah, but I mean, there's going to be other things you're going to have in your back pocket to take your mind off it. Like what all the things we've already spoken about, because if you just play that golf course in a competition head, you're going to come out of it fried. You're not even going to think about it, are you?
Correct.
You're just going to be fried from the pressure.
We did just when we just played SNA, we sort of promised ourselves we're going to Ryder Cup venue, we'll do a little match play. So we did. Me and Chris were on opposing teams. And it was nice that, because it does sharpen you up a little bit. Actually, you do sort of go, actually, I'm gonna think.
I'm not competitive at all.
I forget
to be competitive.
And actually, I didn't care if I won or lost, because it was like I'm still keeping my score and whatever. But it was really nice to kind of have a little bit of like, so if I'd hit a drive down the middle, then it's like Pork, we got right, I'm gonna really go for it now because we've got one ball in play and it's safe. That was quite nice, and it'd be nice to do that with Chris as a team member. Because
I just think it's great. I mean, I just think it's great you're doing it. You can create so many memories. It's something to have as a plan for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It's something that, in 10 years time, the oldest, you might well be playing a couple of these courses
that's
with your
dream.
son.
That's
Do you know
what
I mean? Like that would
be,
imagine if you played the last one of your 100 with your eldest. Well, from where we are now,
that's
6?
the one to do. He's 7.
Yeah.
The youngest is the one that I probably think is probably going to play in 10 years and beat us.
He'll be beating you in 10 years.
Me, yeah. So I might keep him away from that for a minute. But
either competitively or physically.
Well, both.
Yeah,
absolute brute.
But have you
forgive me, Adam, if you are a brute at this stage when you're listening to this, but you are a brute, mate.
Yeah, I was always on your side. But the the other thing that we haven't talked about at all is, have you got any expectations of your actual golfing ability to improve over 10 years? Because I mean it's one of those, you don't want to put too much emphasis on improving, because there's plenty of people that talk about, okay, I need to get down to scratch, or I need to do that. But I mean, the thing is as well, we're it's in a period of our lives where you're probably the last chance you're going to get to improve in a sporting way, or actually be aware of your health and that sort of stuff. And it might be a case of going, well,
extravagant lifestyle, mate.
I know, well,
red meat and red wine.
You're going for it in retirement. But the fact that you could say to yourself, well, because I remember a while ago you were saying about, I want to get down to, or at least in terms of us, we do a lot of stroke play, don't we? So it's like, I want to get, sub 80, I want to get, out of the hundreds all the time. And thankfully, I think we're both there.
We're getting there, yeah.
You're not really hitting hundreds anymore.
Yeah.
And could you say to yourself, well, for the last year of the challenge, I should never be out of the 80s or never be out of the 70s? Or
I had I've got a little on my phone, it's just a little golf bingo thing that I've got, and it's stuff I want to box off and tick off. So there's quite a lot of things I've done on there. So I've ticked off a 300-yard drive, I've ticked off getting back-to-back pars, back-to-back birdies, that kind of stuff, a hole in one. So I've got these things to do.
Allegedly.
It was legit, mate.
Or totally just legit. His 7-year-old and 4-year-old were there to see it. Yeah.
Totally legit. But I think I'd started off, played the first 2 rounds, and I was like, I'm just happy to play golf. Happy to be out here and experience this all and take it all in. Before I played SNA, because I'd played Silithers, like that was probably the 3rd time I played a links course, and at Silith I walked off. I think I was at 101. I think I shot at Silith, and I was like, I've left a lot out there, so I think I can do better at this. And I said to Chris on the way home, I was like, I've learned a lesson here. Play within yourself on a links course, because the course is going to bite back. And we played SNA, and I repeated that on the way in. I was like, right, I've learned my lesson. I'm going to play within myself. At like 80%. And I did for the first 9. And I got, out of 9 holes, I got 5 pars. Everything was really compact and whatever. And then I hit the turn. And I think I was out in like 42. So in my head, I'm going, all right, do that again. I'm in the 80s on one of the most famed links in the whole world. Everybody, exactly. You work it. That's, something.
It's pretty good.
It's good.
Yeah.
And then I had like 5 holes where I'm like gripping it and ripping it, and I was like, oh god, what's going on here? And I remember Chris saying, well, afterwards, he was like, I know we were doing match play, but I was like, I just wanted to put my arm around you and go, Nish, just calm it down a little bit and like get back to what you were doing.
You need
which
to.
I did for the last
it's
4
getting
holes.
that balance of enjoying yourself, not worrying about it, but also how satisfying it is. This is just for anyone playing golf. How satisfying it is when you actually are conscious of what you're doing and making a bit more of an effort. But then if you try too hard, it just ruins your day, because then you have a few holes which are inevitably going to go sideways and you're just like ruined. So I think
That front nine at SNA proved to me though that if I do stay, and that's that mental side of the game, isn't it? If I stay in that moment of like, don't get excited, don't beat yourself up about anything, just play what's in front of you and do it.
Play the shot and get over it.
Exactly.
Play the shot, concentrate on what you're doing, but then get over it.
It is really
away.
enjoyable when you hit a ball and you're like, that's on the flag. Like it could drop short, it could go long, it doesn't matter. But like, that's gone where I wanted it to go, and it looks amazing. That's a great feeling. I've after that round at SNA, I think the score is starting to matter to me a little bit now, and it's probably more. An SNA I played to my handicap, which I was dead happy with because that's a tough course. Because I think again it was trying to knock. I think my handicap at the time was 18.7, and it said my visiting handicap at SNA. So do you know how that works? Right. So the visiting handicap is this course is more difficult than your home course, so your handicap is adjusted upwards. So it was adjusting me up to 24 plus 24. So that's 5 shots more than my actual handicap. So I was like, okay, right, fine. So I ended up playing to that. But I was like, but then my handicap went down because I've matched that. Whatever. I don't know how these things work out. It went down to 18.3. So I've kind of thought my little mini challenges, I'm going to play to my course handicap. I want to do that, definitely.
2,000 under par. Over par even, not
2,000
under par,
over par.
for the whole challenge.
Hey, that's a good idea, isn't it?
Can you make the 2,000?
Yeah, because I'm kind of hovering around 25, 26 over par.
Well, you know, if you have a good round, and I know when we're walking around and you're like, I'm sort of 16, over par here, which is, and but if you could, what's the final parage going to be?
That's a great idea. Hey, that's a good little.
I mean, it's not something you could really have a gamble on or have a wager on, because I'm pretty sure Chris is pretty good.
Oh, when he gets in his groove.
That's it. I've seen it. Yeah. But 2,000.
That's a good idea. That's a good.
It's quite a nice thing to know if you're going to hit it or not, because it might put a bit of pressure on. It's not then so much of a like improving yourself over a period of time. There's your final number at the end of it.
Hello.
How far off are you? How much improvement do you need to like?
This is the kind of golden content I was getting when I was speaking to you in the pub, mate. Like, this stuff is great.
And the one that you really nicely glossed over earlier was how much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
Yeah, that final figure.
2,000 is a very small dip in the ocean. Yeah, I think I'm estimating. Well, again, hidden costs, right? So early on, I discussed.
Well, let's not count. I mean, you could go into travel costs and stuff, but I think
early on, I spoke to Jim, one of the early episodes, and he was like, and then you got your merch costs. And now actually, I'm a merchaholic, so that I've written that off.
Yeah, you can't.
That's not a thing.
It's like, just gifts, isn't it?
That's like, that's my collectible sort of thing. I think.
And also, I didn't have any idea how much you would have paid for that. What was it, Silith? And for a course that, I'm sure, I know it's spectacular, but that really you've never heard of.
No, never heard of it.
And then you go, how much you got to pay for that?
Yeah.
Well, it's incredible for someone who, regularly pays, between, if you're lucky, 25 to 50 quid.
We're in that 25,
exactly.
30,
most people are
£35 range.
And if you really want to go and play these top 100 courses, you've got to really
Silith was one of the cheapest. Could we play that in the summer? As in, like, that's the peak time.
I bet you're strategizing.
That was £95. That was.
Yeah.
Which for me at the time I was like, oh my god, and then Chris went, yeah, that's one of the cheapest.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's it. Yeah. Well, even for a point of reference for anyone who's listening to know what these courses cost, because it's not something that really, because it's a rich man's sport, or supposedly, it always has been. People really don't talk about it, or they're not going to advertise how expensive their course is.
No, of course.
Or at least
it's not about that, is it?
And and the thing that surprises me about some of those courses that are so well established is actually they don't take the money from the members. They have such a strict policy of taking on members that once you're in, the membership fees are so low.
Yeah.
And they don't have turnover of memberships.
Yeah. You're like a lifelong member then.
Yeah, you're there for life. You bring your kids up through the membership as well. And then when you bring on guests, they're paying minimal, 20, 30, 40 quid for a green
to play
fee
with you. Yeah.
If you bring a guest, but they're making the money from the travelling tourists.
Yes,
That's people
true.
are coming over from the States,
basically.
And they're making an absolute.
What you're basically saying is we're a cash cow for these clubs.
Yeah. It's because you don't know anyone.
Yeah,
take advantage. But that you mentioned about merch.
I'm just a pay pig.
You mentioned about merch. Have you got a theme for your merchandise for the top?
Yeah, so
top
I get one of the premium ball markers from each course, and I've started doing that anyway, and that's every course I play. But certainly from these, I'm getting one of the not just like the little ones, one of the big ones, which even how they cost us, some of them like 12, 15 quid, some of them.
It's quite a nice thing to take away though.
But it's lovely, yeah. And it's quite a nice thing to, I'm now thinking of how am I going to display them.
Well, yeah, just a piece of ball with some magnets on it.
Yeah, just whack them all on it. So it's a good little reminder. I haven't thought of anything else to get as merch, because I think that's where it gets into, like, I could be rocking up to a club knowing I'm in for 60, 70 quid because I want to get a flag and I want to do this and I want to do that. And then where do you put that?
You don't need to go too far with it, because when we've done it, when we've had the the limited experiences that we've had at amazing courses, we walked out with hats and scarves, and no matter where you go, you're going to walk away with some rubbish, aren't you? But I think if you pick just one thing to take away,
I think that seems like a good achievement. And every course has one of those, there's a good ball marker, so that feels like a good thing to bring away. And again, that's one of these things where it's nice to see. I mean, in 10 years' time, like at the moment, the fashion is the premium ones. They're like a poker chip. But in 10 years' time, that might change. That it's not that anymore. It's like it's a logo put on the thing, and that's the premium. That might change. We don't know. So it documents that as well a little bit.
I think just for you having a bit of something nice to put on your wall, that's going to be a nice thing to have, isn't it? There's something to collect.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing it for.
The house we stayed in when we went away. The guy who owned the house, he collected all the golf balls. He had like 1,500 golf balls from all the courses he'd ever played. Every single course he played, he got one of their golf balls.
Happy days. That's
and
the
just
way
had
to do
them
it.
All across the wall, just ridiculous. But
they wouldn't survive in my house. I think the two boys would just be throwing them around everywhere and through the windows.
Over the wall, that one. Yeah,
that's it. That's why I need to have my face printed on all of them, because I know they're mine. But I think there's so much stuff that's. I think
you got so much to go at.
I
think you got so much to go at.
Yeah.
And it's not just a case of, you're going to talk about your golf and your experience of the round, but you're going to these incredible places.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Talk about the actual place.
Talk about the place, because that's what people are going to enjoy hearing about, and also the people that play there are going to want to speak about.
Yeah. Mate, I would love you to come out.
Mate, I want to.
More than one.
I want to.
Yeah. I think. And again, you're saying about cost. I know I'm trying to segue myself away from that. Yeah, it doesn't exist, but it's not a problem. What we are finding now is, from talking to people, we've got a podcast episode coming up with somebody who's about 45 courses in now. He's doing the same challenge. It's just not time limited, but he wants to play all the 100.
And he's skinny.
I haven't noticed his golfing attire is getting worse and worse.
He'll be cycling here.
Yeah. But he just kind of talking to people, and you hear about obviously we're doing this Mizuno pairs comp. I've just joined this thing called My Friendly Golf Club. It's a brand new thing, just came up on Facebook, and it's just like a little group of people who've just gone and said, let's block book a load of tees and it's Woburn's, their inaugural event. And I think it was like you turn up, you get a bacon butty, you get your 18 holes, and you get 2-course meal afterwards. And I think it was like 200 quid. And I think Woburn to play in the summer, it's in May as well. So Woburn to play in the summer is about £300. So you're thinking you're getting all of that for 210 quid. It's a lot of money, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it isn't. However, you then get that opportunity to network with people and speak to people and just kind of have a good time with the people around you. All those things just start bringing it back a little bit, don't they? And we've already had, through Matt that we played with at SNA, we've already had a couple of people who've just gone, well, actually, we'd love for you to come to our club and play, and we'll sign you in. We want to play with you. And actually, we want to play with members, because remember, Birkdale, what an amazing experience playing with Dave, because he knew everything. It was the same at SNA with Matt. Like, he knew. So you'd hit a tee shot and you go, oh, I'm not
no,
sure
you're
about
all
that
right.
one. He's like, no, you're all right there.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good position you got. Oh, and he just lightens you up straight away, and you're like, okay, that's fine. I can get away with it.
That makes such a difference when you're playing a course, because
Huge.
you can feel as though, okay, that one's lost.
Yeah.
Or you can actually, spray it a bit and be confident off the tee rather than the result of the tee shot.
I think especially when you've got loads of courses, and a lot of them are links courses, just the way it is, but when you've got all that heather and gorse and stuff like that, it's nice to know that actually, I know you've gone into that, but you should be able to find your ball there. It'll be okay, and I roughly know where it is, and I'll get you in. So we will rate, and this is so time of year dependent, but we will keep a bit of an eye on the harshness of the rough, because actually that is something that me personally, as a visitor, I'd like to know that, if I play this in the winter.
They're different places. Completely different places.
Yeah,
absolutely. You play that Birkdale when it's burnt off.
Yeah,
it's it'll run, it'll hit the ground and run, and you'll be able to find it anywhere on the course.
We've said, haven't we, the laws of friction don't apply at some of these links courses. Like, that ball's just going, like still going.
Unbelievable, and then the wind gets behind it.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Or wind in your face. Either way, So I think great chatting to you, mate. Like, pleasure. Fantastic ideas, and we're definitely going to get out and play some golf, and I'm hoping you can perhaps we can get you on for Glen Eagles.
Oh yeah,
that'd be good.
I'll be there. Just put the golf clubs in the back of the car, just in case.
Just need to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk again.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we build all these things in, it'd be great to get more ideas. Like, so you're the ideas man.
Well,
look at it from a new perspective.
No ideas, man.
Love it.
All right, mate.
Right, so we're going to get all these things on the pod soon, and the website as well. So that's top110.co.uk. But yeah, it's a great way to keep up to date with all of our developments, with how we're getting on. But we've got an extra special treat, actually, that you can actually join our mailing list. Promise not to spam you. But if you head over to our website, which is top110.co.uk, you can sign up to the mailing list. And if you complete your profile, I now have some exclusive, because nobody's got this idea, because why would they do it? Top 110 ball markers, and I'll post it out to you, so you can actually join the club a little bit. So that's it. Thank you, Rob.
Pleasure, mate.
Really enjoyed having a chat.
Yeah, and you, mate.
So you've all been listening to the Top 110 Golf Podcast.